Here we have for sale our January 1981 on a W Reg Porsche 911SC. This is the 3 litre, of course accompanied with the 5-speed 915 manual gearbox. And what we're going to do in this video is have a little walk around. I'll show you the specification on this particular example, of course talk you through the condition and a bit about the service history, what we've done to it during our ownership, seeing as the vehicle is currently available for sale with us here at Bridgend Van Centre. So of course finished in the iconic and very 80s Grand Prix white. This of course is the coupe, so 3 versions of this car were available. So that would have been the coupe like this with the solid roof. You could of course get the Targa, which has that sort of distinguishable hoop behind the driver's seat, and that allows the front part of the roof here to be removed. And then of course the full convertible, but as I say, this one is the coupe, and what a lot would argue would be the most desirable of the 3 models. And of course this one is left-hand drive, having lived most of its life on the continent. So starting here then around the rear of the vehicle, and what we're going to do, as I say, is have a really close look at the condition of this particular example. Of course there's so much you can see in photos, but of course having a look in these sort of more dynamic angles down the sides of the vehicles, having a look at the paintwork and the reflections, gives you a much better idea of the vehicle's true condition. One thing to note is that I think, as probably every one of these cars will have had, the vehicle will have certainly had some paintwork at some point in its life, and I'll do my best to, of course, point out any sort of signs that I can see of that. We actually purchased the car back in August 2021. When we purchased the car, it was actually registered on Monaco plates, so it was living its life down in the south of France, and specifically in Monaco. And you can see a little telltale sign of that on the old insurance certificate here. The identification there, 2458, that was literally the registration number on the car. So Monegasque plates are very, very short. So when we bought the car, it was still on those Monegasque plates. So we went through the registration process and we're the first owners of the car in the UK. The previous owner of the car had a big Porsche collection down there in Monaco, with some, incredible cars, including 2.7 RSs and all that type of thing. He was moving back to the Cotswolds, and this was one of the cars that unfortunately had to make way in the collection, and that is how we came to purchase it. But having a look here at the condition at the rear of the car, of course the first thing to note is that this one hasn't got the whale tail. Again, 2 variants there. You can get these on with the sort of the classic whale tail on the boot, but this one has not got that. And again, that was a very much a conscious choice. We wanted one which had that classic 911 silhouette at the back, and I felt like the whale tail sort of spoiled that somewhat, so I really like that about the car, that it doesn't have the whale tail. Of course, that is a personal preference thing, but as I say, certainly very much a conscious decision when it came to purchasing the car. In terms of condition here then at the rear, and I must say, I think a theme throughout this, it is in lovely condition. The car, of course, it is registered, it was made in the early 80s, 81, so we're over 40 years old at this point. So of course you're going to get a few little blemishes or things like that, but generally speaking in gorgeous condition throughout, and certainly a car that always gets a lot of comments. You can just see here a couple of small little stone chips, like this one just here, which has just been neatly touched in the correct colour. If we look down at the sort of the lower valance here, you can see on this side it's in really good condition there. I believe an upgraded exhaust from just the standard one. I believe that's a Dansk exhaust, I believe, that is fitted to the car there. These are not bubbles or blisters, they're just some little water droplets there, but you can just see here at the rear of the car it is in fantastic condition indeed. Looking at the rear number plate then, you can see it is wearing a pair of Francis Tuthill number plates, and that just gives sort of a bit of a clue of, as I say, where the car has sort of been over the last 3 years. So Francis Tuthill, or now known as Tuthill Porsche, they have been going for many years, since probably when these cars were new, in fact, and they competed in the sort of London rallies and things like that, really, back in the day. And they know these cars absolutely inside out. So they have done all of the work on this car in those last 3 years. So it's been up there on 3 separate occasions for servicing work, but also some corrective work as well, which we wanted done on the car, and some further enhancements as well, which we'll talk you through. But yes, just going back to the condition here, lovely condition, as you can see, to the rear boot lid, the rear wings. You can see these are very much free from any dents, looking very, very smart indeed. The rear lights here as well are all looking in very good order. There's no signs that I can see of any significant water ingress or anything like that across these rear lights, which is of course a really nice sign. There is a tiny little scuff, I believe, just very, very low down here on the rear valance. That's very much tucked underneath there. You almost need to sort of get under the vehicle to see that. But a very, very small little scuff here, probably where it's come out of maybe a steep driveway or something like that at some point in time, but I have noticed that on the car back there. But crucially with this car, these sorts of areas here, the kidney areas, there is no rust at all on this car. They are known for sort of on the front wings where water sits on top of the front bumper. But that was a really key thing with this car when we purchased it. Was, as I say, we did not want a car that had rust issues, that we were going to spend a lot of time and money chasing rust around, and maybe never getting to the bottom of it. But as I say, that's certainly not a problem on this car. As I say, having lived basically its entire life in the south of France, we've got bills going back to the 80s, where work was carried out on it in the south of France. The vehicle is sitting on what I believe are the correct 15-inch Fuchs alloys. So speaking to the guys up in Tuttles, they've told me that the 15-inch are the correct wheels for the car. A lot of people change these for 16-inch, which does give you a few extra tyre choices, and some people prefer the look, but Tuttles have always informed me that these are the correct wheels, and supposedly the car actually drives better on the standard 15-inch as well. And I do believe that the car drives fantastically well. We've done a number of miles in this car over those years, and it drives brilliantly well. While we're back here looking at the wheel, you can see there are some curbing marks to the very sort of edge of particularly this rim just here. But crucially, while we're back here as well, these 2 rear tyres, the Pirelli Cinturato P7 tyres, these have been changed very recently. These have done almost no miles, and as I say, they were really the best tyres available there to replace on the rear. If we open up the door here, you can see again just a small little touch in just there on the very edge of the door shut there, and a few small little cracks here just in the paint. As I say, there's no rust bubbles or anything like that, but there are some sort of cracks there in the paint, just very, very minor. And as I say, it's just little details like that, which probably tell us that, as I say, the vehicle has had some paint in its life at some point. But as you can probably see here, looking at the roof is in fantastic condition. But again, just looking, the sort of detailer eye in me, used to looking at vehicles now for over a decade, and it does to me appear that this roof has had some paint at some point in its life. This is a really lovely area in the car. So of course it's got the electric opening sunroof, which operates absolutely perfectly, but having a look in these sort of gutters here, there is no signs of any rust or anything like that at all. It is absolutely spot on, in really, really nice condition. Looking at the sills here as well, the kick plate, again, absolutely no signs of rust. The sill underneath here, it's all in fantastic condition indeed. Having a look inside then, so you can see you've got the black leather interior on the door cards. Of course, the nice opening pockets here, wind-up windows. This is a very, very analog car, and again, that was part of the appeal indeed. Having a look at the interior, absolutely love the interior on this car. I think it's one of the best factory interiors that was available in its in its period. So you've got again this black sort of leather or leatherette sort of bolster, but with this lovely green, I don't know if the camera is really going to show that up, but there is this lovely green pinstripe sort of velour trim in the center here. So these seats are incredibly comfortable, but again, I think it's a really nice, classy look, and again, in absolutely brilliant condition here inside. When I purchased the car, there was a small little split just there on the very seam, and we had Tuttils repair that. But they've done an absolutely brilliant job. There is no way you'd ever know that without me telling you that. Into the back then, of course, this is a 4-seater, so you have got the 2 rear seats there, and this was one of the additions that we had done, was to have Tuttils fit rear lap belts there into the back. So of course, being an early 80s car, wouldn't have come as standard with rear belts, but as I say, they've done again a beautiful job of fitting those. You can of course fold those backrests down for some extra luggage space there in the back if you're just traveling as a 2. Looking at the headlining then, you've got this nice perforated sort of cream leather to the headlining, and again you can see here all the condition here, and the gutters and everything around the sunroof is in fantastic order. The sun visors have gone a bit puffy. Again, that's quite a common thing on these, but they have gone a bit puffy. They still work absolutely fine, but as I say, they have sort of gone that way a little bit. Inside then, lovely black carpet. It's all in really great condition inside here. Into the centre then, as I mentioned, that 5-speed 915 gearbox. So the later Carrera models, they changed to a G50 gearbox, but this is a 5-speed 915 gearbox, which does take some getting used to. It's again a very analog gearbox. There's no synchromesh in first gear, so you only put it into first gear. When you come to a stop, second gear sometimes can take a bit of persuasion or a bit of time to get it into second gear. But I really feel this car, I've done a lot of miles in this car, and I really feel when you're sort of, when you get used to it, it is such a rewarding gearbox to drive and to live with. I absolutely adore it. Into the centre here then, you've got the glove box there with your little lights just there, and some instructions there for your heater controls on the left hand side. And this was a major upgrade that we had carried out, and this is the Porsche PCCM upgraded radio. So this is a genuine Porsche product. The idea behind this is that it's there to look like a period radio, so I can't stand looking in through the window and you see the sort of the silver Alpine radios of the sort of early noughties or late 90s. I think it just totally spoils the look. So this is a genuine Porsche product, but as you can see here, you've got a modern small display in the center, but this has got DAB radio. Crucially as well, you've got these little ports there which should be nicely hidden in this center storage compartment. Once you plug your smartphone into this, you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on here depending on what phone you've got, and that is just for me has been an absolute game changer. Going on trips in this car, we took this to the Belgium Grand Prix. I did 1,000 miles or so in that trip, and just being able to listen to podcasts, your music, use it for sat nav, just absolutely brilliant, and just makes it so easy to live with then and go on those trips when you've got a more modern setup like that, but again without spoiling the look inside. Another change then is the Momo Prototipo steering wheel. So again, this was changed from the standard steering wheel. We have got the original, and we've also got the original radio as well, so they come with the vehicle. But also there was a spacer put on here, so I had this done in one year, and then the following year when it went back, I had Tuttils put a small little spacer just behind there on the boss, just to bring the steering wheel slightly closer towards you, and just allows again just a nicer feel of the steering wheel. Doesn't feel like you're sort of reaching for it as much, because of course you've got no power steering in here, so it is, again, as I say, very analog indeed. But yeah, as I say, just makes it that much more comfortable to drive. These little levers here, these are to allow some heat into the cabin from the engine compartment. So being quite a small cabin in here, when you're up and running, you can get it really nice and toasty in here if you want to. And then the sort of the famous clocks here in front of you. So that beautiful rev counter there in front of you, you can see there the red line around 6,250, something like that, and you can see it's all idling correctly as it should be at the moment. You've got some nice oil pressure there. Temperature is slowly starting to rise on the left hand side. Then your fuel and your oil level, which you do when the car is warm and the car is stationary. The vehicle is in kilometers, of course, being a European car, and 153,000 446 kilometers recorded on there, which is 90 odd thousand miles. But as I say, we will put the exact calculation of that in the advert, and of course the clock here on the side. Let's continue to go around the outside. I'm conscious I don't want to take up too much of your time, but of course if you are interested in this car, it's certainly worth having a look. On the centre then, slightly thinner tyres, on the front should I say, slightly thinner tyres on the front just here, and as I say, the car handles absolutely brilliantly. These are actually the same tyres that were on the front of the car when I had it, and they've performed very well. I've questioned Tuthill on them on a couple of occasions, and I say not ready to change just yet. Have a look at the condition here then down the what is the passenger side of the car of course on this occasion. You can see lovely condition here. Having a look in the arches, you can see the condition in the arches there, very nice. There's no bubbles of rust or anything like that on the arches at all. Nothing to speak of here on top of the where the bumper sits up on top of here as well, all in really good order. And the yellow, I believe these are Bilstein shocks that these come with. Looking at the headlights then, and again this was another change that was carried out on the car again by Tuthills. So these are the same headlights that they put in their SCRS Resto Mod cars. Those cars are an absolute fortune, but as I say, the standard headlights that come in these weren't fantastic, and again wanting to use the car for trips, and as I say, if it meant driving at night, then so be it. So we wanted some proper headlights to go in here. So these are the units that have been upgraded at some great expense, but as I say, make an absolutely enormous difference to the usability of the car, but crucially not so much the look of the car. So I wanted the headlights to not be sort of immediately apparent. Of course, someone who knows what they're looking at will tell that they are not your standard headlights, but I didn't want them to sort of really stand out like some other units that you see that as I say, they weren't the original headlights. So I'm very, very pleased with those. Looking at the condition then at the front, the bonnet is in very good order. Of course, you may find the odd tiny little stone chip here or there, but generally speaking the bonnet is in lovely order. Having a look at the front bumper, a couple of, again, just very small little stone chips which have just been touched in neatly here to the front bumper, touching just here to the left of the number plate as well. But yeah, generally speaking in very good order. All the sort of the plastics and the rubbers are in good condition down here, everything working as it should. Looking down on this occasion then the driver's side of the vehicle, having a look at of course this alloy wheel there, again in very good order. Having a look at the arch there underneath, it's all very well. Finally then, looking at the driver's door, the sill down here, I say it's just hopefully just using these sort of reflections here, and you can just see how sort of straight it is. There's no dents or anything like that. As I say, to my eye, I believe that the vehicle will have no doubt had some paint over the years, but clearly done to a satisfactory level indeed. If we have a look from the driver's side then, so there are two keys with the vehicle. Having a look at the driver's door card, the driver's seat, again all in lovely order as well. Now if you want any details of those specific work that's been carried out, Tuthills are more than happy to send you on the bills there for the work that's been carried out. It's been close to £20,000 that has been spent on this car with them. Things like, as I say, brakes, tyres, headlights, the radio. There's been, I'm sure, corrective work done to the heater blowers, steering wheel, rear seat belts. Of course, 3 services have been carried out in that time. A number of things. There was actually a superseded airbox that was fitted to the car as well, which takes away sort of quite a common issue on these cars. So as I say, a lot of work has been done, and so we're more than happy to provide those bills as well for your reading, and of course we'll welcome you down for a viewing of the vehicle if you want a test drive, first accompanied and then on your own if of course the vehicle is of interest. Now if you'd like to see the full advert of this vehicle, if you haven't seen already, please head over to our website there, bridgeendvans.co.uk. This is where you will find the price, the description, and of course the photography of the vehicle as well. Any inquiries, we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for watching.